Hey man, what's up?
What's going on? Not much.
What's going on there, Dust Dash? Look
I,
like you
I,
just getting off the lake, man.
yes, I am. It's been a heck of a day. I got to
Well,
make
I'm
sure
heck
my boat ramp ain't getting shown in the background.
there you go. I can't tell yet, so maybe by the end of the show we can kind of figure it out, and we'll let everybody know in the country that way you can have some more company over there.
Yeah, the worst part about it is I don't even know what I was going to say. Go ahead.
Well, good afternoon, everybody.
Oh,
Uh,
I feel naked from not seeing the comments. This is feeling.
oh, okay. Well, I have
Yeah,
to
so you're
fill
going to have to take
you
care of
in.
me tonight. Yeah.
I'll try to fill you in there. Got a lot of guys chiming in the 25K Crappie Connection, especially you guys on YouTube. You're getting the party started right. JR, Tim Jr., James, Mr. Tim Smith, Charles Henderson, Big Hugger Charles is in tonight, even. Appreciate everybody joining in. Today's bite brought to you by Bobby Garland Bates. And man, the word of the day is, you know, crappie are spawned in a lot of areas. Some of them are post-spawn, some of them are pre-spawn, and some of them are right in the middle of spawn. So we've got a lot of spawn talk going on tonight, and
Yeah. It's
we're
that
going to hear
time
a
of
lot of
year.
different, hopefully, fishing reports from you guys. If you got a really good one, we'd love to hear it. Especially got a bait you would like to share and kind of let the cat out of the bag to say on that. Oh, there's something happened to Dustin. But we're going to talk about some of the basics of crappie fishing during the spawn. And it seems like this week I've just got a lot of different messages and emails and people asking me about, how do you locate fish? And I love you guys sending me the messages and emails. So we're going to talk about some of the basics of crappie fishing in the spawn tonight. Joshua, he said he finally made it to live. Man, we've been looking for you. We're so glad that you're joining us tonight. Greg, Danny Malone. Let's see if we can get Dustin back in here. He's coming on back on
Let's
board. I think
try this again. Let's try this again.
don't see you yet. I hear you, Dustin, but I don't know if
Hmm.
anybody else can
What in
see
the
you or
world?
not. But I don't see you.
Hmm. Well, I can see you.
Well, we'll keep on. Can you guys see Dustin? I just see the Lake Washington in the background, so we'll see if anybody else sees you.
What? Hey, if they can hear me and not see me, that's kind of epic too.
Well,
Let's just hear what they got to say.
man, Floyd, he says it exactly right. He's the word of the day for him is wind. Man, brother, let me tell you about it.
Oh,
We've had some wind over here in Mississippi today, that's for sure.
is your face starting to feel it yet?
Man, I'm got red all over the face, and that's not sunburn. I
So
think that
chat.
is windburn.
Yeah, I agree.
Hmm. Well, everybody else sees Dustin, so
All
I don't
right.
need to
Well,
see
we're
him. I
good
know
to
what
go
he
then.
looks like.
Yeah. You need to see me, Brad.
Yeah, I don't know. He's in there, so well, good deal. Dustin, you're on the lake, so I know you can give us the most current fishing
Oh,
report
yeah.
there is on your side of things. So we'll let you kick it off.
Yeah, I'm still in a pre-spawn pattern's what I'm fishing, but you can find either one. And I've even cleaned a few post-spawn fish out of the numbers I've caught, but I bet it's still like maybe 3 or 4 fish out of 100 fish are going to be post spawn. So we're still just starting to ease into the spawn. I checked some bank areas this afternoon, and didn't really get any fish that are up on the bank like they should be yet. Our fish are still. I mean, we're still in 58-degree water. In a
Oh
lot
wow.
of places, yeah, a lot of places. This morning was 39 to 40 degrees in the morning. We got a lot of cold nights, so it's still kind of hanging in there and hanging on. I wouldn't say we're in spawn yet at all, but we are in to where the fish are so aggressive and they're floating everywhere. This afternoon is probably some of the best fishing I've seen in a while, and we've been really, really destroying the fish since I've talked to you guys last. I don't know how many we've caught, but it's been a lot, and we've done really well. Daylight to dark, I've been out here just ripping on them, and they're just roaming their heads off. So it's been a dang good time. These roaming fish are my bread and butter. It's my favorite time to fish for them. I'm dropping the new weights that you were making fun of me, Brad. They're called the sonar sticks that they ain't been
I
out with
see
in
that.
long. Have you seen them?
Yep.
Okay, well. that I've been using those, and they're actually pretty dang handy. They just need to come out with heavier. I'm tying 2 half-ounce ones together to get down there. You know how we like to get real heavy with the weights.
Oh yeah.
So I'm using that, and then I'm using a itty bit there's been 3 different colors been really well: pearl, orange chartreuse, and bone white and chartreuse. And I'm telling you, if you switch the bait, I mean, I've ran out of a couple of those plastics, and I'll just
Mm,
grab a different plastic and use it, night and day difference. So there's a few. If you have some bait with white in it, it has been a difference of taking it in their gullet, or just pushing it around and barely biting it, or coming up and turning it down. I did not have one fish, and now I've ran out. I got to restock. I'm going home to get a new bag of it, but uh, the bone white and chartreuse slab slayer, not one fish
yeah.
probably out of 200 fish have turned that bait down. But then you switch a
Mm,
color, and you got fish that'll nose up and go down. It blows my mind. But
yeah.
when you find the right
Yep.
juice, you got to use it. This evening though, the sun popped out. It was an overcast day today, and I was using the bone white chartreuse. We did really well. The second trip, they started acting a little slower, and I ran out of my bone white and chartreuse, and I'm like, crap, what am I going to do? So the sun was really shining. Brad, what color do you think I grabbed?
Oh, I'm gonna just go ahead and lay it on line. I'm gonna say double silver rainbow.
Guess what? Grenada Gold, buddy. You should be proud of me.
Woo!
Grenada
I
Gold.
love it.
I'm in some muddier water, and I seen those itty bit Grenada Golds. I said these have got to work with that, and there was no and if buts or maybe. When they turned up, they were
Mhm.
slamming it, and I love when the fish act like that. It's been good on me. Even when the fishing's a little slower and I'm not seeing as many fish, the ones you find
Yeah.
are biting, and that makes life a lot easier when the fish you do find are going to bite.
What about
15 to 20 foot of water, by the way.
are you seeing like your the males and females starting to segregate at all, or are they just
Oh
all
yeah,
moving
absolutely.
together?
No, the fish I'm catching in 15 to 20 foot of water are 99% females. They're big
Yeah.
full females. So all the males for sure have got to be moving up shallow. And I know they are. When you go in the back of coves or down the bank of coves and like 6 foot of water brush, you can pick off males, and they're laying on top of the timber, and they're starting to do their thing. So it's just a matter of time before I lose all my females out here that I'm picking off. But uh, man, I'm enjoying the heck out of it right now. I promise you, it's been a heck of a
Mm.
time today with the north wind. The north wind has been my kryptonite. Someone said wind today, and wind has been it's been brutal on me this year. A little worse than it ever probably has been. But today, this north wind was just when you have to fish where the fish are at. Uh, Man, I fought it, and it was just terrible weather the whole time. But we made it work. I can't stand my poor calf muscle, Brad, chasing them roamers and pushing that brake all day, and that wind will kill you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like me right now. It feels like my right foot, my trolling motor foot, is
Just tingling.
man. It feels like it gets a dagger stuck through it, and hopefully you don't have the bad habit I have, and my bad habit, and a lot of guys are going to know it already too. Is I don't like fishing with shoes on.
Oh
It's
yeah,
either a sock or just barefoot, just because I can feel it just a little bit better. Trying to see if we're
that's
actually on
brutal.
Facebook or not. We might
Oh,
crank it right back up.
don't tell me we got off of Facebook.
I know we're still good on YouTube, but let me see if we.
Don't tell me I just gave that good a fishing report and you ain't got me on Facebook, brother.
I think we're still on there. I see a few people, Mr. Reggie, Carlos, they're all chiming in here. So hopefully we're on Facebook, guys. Let me know if you see us on Facebook or not.
Hey, it's been one of them days for me, guys. I got another good story for you. I have a table full of fish to clean this afternoon, and I'm going to clean them real quick before I go home and get on the live show. And my Rapala knife farts out on me, completely stops working, and I start beating on it, and it finally will work. When I beat on it real hard, it works, and I've learned that. So I just start whacking on the table, it starts working. Well, I broke whatever holds onto the blades, so now when I go to clean them, the blades were falling out, and I'm like, oh, it's finally done. The knife's done. So I just had to hand clean about 35 fish with a just a blade knife, the good old
Mm,
days, like way old fashioned, just a fillet
mm.
knife. And that was brutal. I mean, it looked like hamburger meat by the time I was done.
Oh my! We're going to talk about some of the basic starting line of crappie fishing, and this is something that goes hand in hand with what Dustin's actually talking about right now. And we're talking about cleaning fish. Of course, I'm kind of like him. You give me a fixed blade knife, and I'm slow as
Oh,
molasses.
that's what I was wondering.
But
Oh,
one tip I want to share with
brittle.
you guys when it comes to cleaning crappie that'll make your life a little bit easier. And Dustin, you probably know what I'm about to say, but put them on ice.
Oh
If you
yeah,
put
firms
this
them up.
fish on ice, let them cool down, your yield off of a crappie it's going to be higher because that meat just feels like, to me at least, it firms a little bit up, and they just clean so much
Yeah.
better if you put them on ice. So if you're just learning how to fillet crappie, start off by putting your crappie on ice, and I would say at least, we'll say 2 hours before you clean them at the very
Oh yeah.
least.
Yeah. It does make a big difference.
And you're starting out, you're wanting to learn how to, clean your crappie and put them upright, put them on ice, and then clean them. And I can tell you what,
When you put
you
them on
have
ice too,
easier.
lay them. Make sure they're laying flat. If you get them all coiled up, it's kind of a pain in the butt. So lay them flat in that ice.
That's true. TJ, he
When
said less blood as well. Absolutely. That's
Yeah, I was about to just say that. That was the next one. I was going to say the meat's a lot cleaner when you pull it out of the fish. I don't know if it coagulates or whatever the word is for that, but the meat is
mhm.
cleaner. Are we
Well,
on Facebook,
guys,
Brad?
yeah, we got TJ,
Okay.
Tim's, they're all coming on
Hey,
Facebook. So,
Facebook buddies.
and YouTube. Right now we got 69 likes, guys. We're going to try to reach for that 200 mark again tonight. So please, if you haven't done it yet, Facebook, YouTube, it really doesn't matter. Make sure you hit that thumbs up, that like button. It helps us out more. You guys can even imagine. And I kick off my today's bite fish report, and I think about today, and I'm gonna look at the whole week. Since last Tuesday night, I think I've fished. Whew, I don't know, about 6 different trips, 5 different trips, and of course, my biggest thing is wind. We said that at the very beginning, and the wind factor is kind of limiting of what area of the lake I can fish and what I got to hold off on. And there's also been another factor that kind of come in last week to play and move some fish around a lot. And for me, it was current. It was current coming through the lake, windy
Uh-oh.
conditions. But it was one of those days, Wednesday last week, that we had enough current and it really pushed a lot of fish in the area. And I was able to fish, and it would just seem like it was just like right now for me, crappie are really spread out. They're all over the lake. You can catch them in 2 foot of water. You can catch them in 30 foot of water, and
Yep.
everywhere between, there's going to be some fish. But with that current, it kind of pushed a whole herd of them, to say, schools of them in the area, and I got to
Wolfpack.
really capitalize on that. But so current last week kind of played a factor in me. The current's starting to die down, so the fish are starting to scatter back out some. But I've been using the baby shad and the itty bit slab hunters a lot, and a few little hair jigs mixed in there, to kind of depending on where how they're sitting on things. But I'm finding fish really on ledges a lot, and some of the ledges that I'm fishing, some of them have riprap, rocks, and then some of it has structure on them. I'm actually seeing fish spawning anywhere from about 4 foot of water. I seen them today spawning in 12 foot of water, and you're thinking, well, how do you know they're spawning? One, you can actually see these fish, how they're reacting around some of the structure, and the other fish as they're coming in there. It looks like a little party going on down there. Um, but also, you'll catch them, and if you don't watch it, you'll have crappie eggs all over you. You'll sling them
Well,
in the
they're
boat.
really doing it then. You got it
Yeah,
going
I mean
on.
it's going on. Um,
Are you
but
cleaning post spawn females too? Or
yeah, a few here and there. I don't know if I've cleaned any that was completely out of eggs, to say, but you know, I'm gonna say, in a old legend of the crappie fishing world in Mississippi, especially Ross Barnett, Rabbit Rogers said it many, many years ago. And he said April 15th is always going to be the middle of the spawn, and I'd be doggone if he was not right 15 years ago about it. But I feel like we're right dead middle in the spawn as well. I think that you know it's coming into the part of the spawn I actually like more, and why I say that is, And Dustin, you're definitely gonna know what I'm gonna say, but we're moving towards that latter part of the spawn, the back half of it
Uh-oh.
for us.
Greater stump.
Breeder stumps are about to come in play, I feel like. It's gonna be the prime, the best of the best spawning habitat that these fish will really start concentrating on. And honestly, if I was gonna pick between the beginning half of the spawn or the back end, I'm gonna pick the back end of the spawn. And then these breeder stumps are going to become really key for me. I think in the next couple of weeks, and our tail end of the spawn. These fish here, they're going to spawn all the way up to end of May. There'll still be a few fish spawning in the
Wow.
end of May, 1st of June. I've seen them as late as the last first week in June still spawning. But
That's
so
amazing.
I can't wait for the breeder stump spawn section to come alive, and it's starting to trickle, but it ain't all the
Hmm.
way hardcore
I'll be
like it will.
jealous.
I can't wait.
I need me
Uh,
some of that. They've got to be some breeder stumps out here at Grand somewhere.
it definitely has to be. TJ, he said he's ready for some of them flat bellies. I get it. And then we talk about this whole the basics and the beginning of really diving into crappie fishing. A lot of the questions that I had placed on me this week is how to find the bigger fish, and you
Hmm.
know, and I think about this whole British stump scenario, and that is the prime of the prime spots, and that's typically even where these bigger fish are going to spawn. Um, we get some areas of the lake that's just all the same, say lily pads, and there are going to be subtle differences that would make a difference for a crappie to be a prime spot. But those bigger fish for me always make a little bit more sense. And what I mean by that is the best piece of structure that they can spawn on, that's typically in my mind where I'm gonna find the bigger females at as well. Um, so there's no open and closed book scenario
Yeah,
on crop spawns. It's not gonna say this is gonna work on every single lake, everywhere you go, every single day, because that's just not how it happens. And it's really, you think about it, it's a good thing because in my mind, it lets these fish have a higher survival rate if it's more spread out. If it was all in one area, all the fishermen could go there and catch them all up at one time frame and be
exactly.
done with them.
Hmm.
So if it's spread out in these different locations, that's the the species survival rate, make them as good as they are.
Yeah. Yeah, I've found a really good spot on Grand here lately that holds just the biggest fish I've seen in the lake as far as size wise. And I've sat down and looked at the map and tried to figure out why and what is making these bigger fish sit here, because it seemed like in the past there's not been that big of numbers there, but I'm wondering if in the past I knew what I was looking for as well. Like,
Yeah,
or have I learned more? Sometimes I'm like, were they there the whole time and I just didn't know what I was looking for mainly? This is like all the fish in the lake are in this area. It's just you have to weave through a lot of shad, buffalo, carp, and everything
yeah.
else to find the fish. But there's still just tons of crappie with them. So it just makes me wonder. And I've really studied on how this spot is set up and how it works.
I would
'Cause I've
be.
caught lots and lots of fish there.
That's going to be very interesting if you could figure that out, because you just about guarantee there's something that you haven't really picked
Yeah,
up on that's really that difference.
100%. And I have a little bit, it reminds me of the welfare hole a little bit. It has a big wave break, wave break and a current break. So it has to be something where it kind of boils around. It's just like a huge eddy, a huge style eddy. But man, I just cannot. I'll have to talk with you about it and let you check it on the map and just tell me why the heck they're there like they are. I've done the math though. In a
You know,
in a football field size circle, I've cleaned in a week probably 500 fish out of that circle, and they've all been very very good sized fish. So it just makes me wonder what. And I could go there right now, and they're still there. They still keep coming in. They're coming from the main
yeah,
lake, and just keep filling. And there's got to be something that's got them fish
yeah.
just going nuts in there. But yeah, a lot of weird stuff there, but it is cool to wonder. Oh, and I've also got, I mean, this is my ADHD brain going crazy. I've also got the craziest
Yeah,
crappie you've had to have ever seen, and I can't wait to show you a picture of it, and you tell me what the heck you think it was, because half I'm half convinced that it's a breed. It was a mix between a sand bass and a crappie.
really.
Cra- Craziest fish rat I've ever seen. I'm telling you. As far as just crappie, it has stripes all on the top of its back, full lines, no bars or nothing, and then a couple of dots, like it has a little bit of crappie in it too.
Huh.
It's so weird. So you have to check it out.
I got a question coming in from Barry on YouTube. Guys, you got questions about the spawn or anything about crappie fishing, shoot them out there. We'd be glad to see if we can help you out tonight. We got some great fishermen joining us on YouTube. A lot of good guides even chiming in here and giving us some help on the comments. So stick around. If I don't get to you, I can promise one of these guys will try as well. So
Yeah, and I'm
thank
I'm
both sides
slacking
of it.
today, guys.
Barry's asking
I
us
don't
this.
get to read the comments.
Yeah. Good evening from Wisconsin. What are your thoughts on long line and using mono compared to fluorocarbon? Any
Oh, good
advantages
question.
using one over the other? Uh, yeah,
Really
I
good
see
question.
a couple of different things with the comparison of lines there. Number one, the mono is more tends to float. Fluorocarbons are going to tend to sink. So I think if I'm wanting to get really deep, I would go through a fluorocarbon to get those jigs a little bit deeper compared to the mono. Colder conditions, and I think of Wisconsin, my mind automatically thinks cold, but the fluorocarbon won't do really good in water temperatures below 40 degrees. Uh, I like the mono as well when it comes to the pulling jigs, long lining jigs, just because it has some more stretch to it and buoyancy to bounce back. Um, so maybe that kind of help you out on the whole line scenarios. And some other guys might have some opinions on that one as well. Mr. Hancock, he said he's ready for some hot weather. Man, I think everybody's ready for some hot weather. I'm ready for some
Yeah, that's right.
light wind days, and I think I've got one tomorrow
Oh,
coming. I'm crossing my fingers tonight.
man, don't worry, we don't, Brad. It's going to be a 15-mile-per-hour south wind. I can't remember the last time it wasn't just windy. Windy. If we could get a day though, today was like if the wind would lay down a little bit, it was so warm. But as soon as that
Mhm.
north wind would pick up, you were so uncomfortably cold.
Yeah,
Tough
yesterday I
one.
actually I wore my fishing bibs, and then underneath it I had pants on, and then half the day I had to take them off. And today I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get to wear some shorts up underneath my
Oh
bibs.
yeah. Hmm.
Sure enough, the wind blew, the 20 to 25 normal around here, and I had to keep my bibs on all day. So it just hadn't
Yeah.
happened yet.
Same here. Same here. Yeah, a fella showed up
Like
this
Mark,
afternoon with shorts and t-shirt on.
hmm,
It was cold.
it is definitely been a little bit chilly in the mornings, and but hopefully tomorrow I'm gonna knock it on wood, man. We're praying for light winds tomorrow, but
Man, you're gonna slaughter him with that light wind, ain't you?
we, of
Lord's
course, you
willing.
hope so. I always tell everybody, it
Yeah,
really don't
that's
matter
right.
what you do today; it matters what you do tomorrow when you get on the lake. So
That's true.
let's see. You got TJ, no Ty, excuse me. Have you found big fish in a spot and then the next day they're gone? If you so, what do you think happens to make them leave? Full moon? I really don't think it's the full moon necessarily. Um, it could be so many
Another good
different
question because I've
factors
seen
that
that happen.
comes to that. Wind direction as far as waves. I've kind of noticed in my mind that if you get in a really choppy area, a rolling area, our fish here don't seem to really want to stay there, especially if it's shallow water. They'll leave that shallow water, especially if it's getting pounded by big rolling waves. Then, like I said earlier about the current, you get an area that's holding a lot of fish, and all of a sudden you get a 2 inch rain, 3 inch rain, what have you, and it produces current coming through that area. Those fish will leave like a light switch. So, biggest thing that my mind is current will make these fish leave really fast in shallow rolling water. Um, will make them leave as well. A really cool scenario that I seen today, and it kind of goes hand in hand with what we're even talking about, was we had high winds, big waves on the main water today. So I had to fish a pocket that was protected, and it had fish in it, but in the area that got the calmest, what I noticed was absolutely loaded with bait fish, to the point that it was I could spot a crappie, but you would lose them extremely quick on the live
Oh
sonar on the
yeah,
live scope
yeah.
because there's so much shad on the screen. And as the day progressed, I think those fish even got a little tired of all the bait fish with them, and they came up and actually started suspended up above the crop, the shed, to get away from some of the chaos because there was so much bait fish in the area. But I didn't really wasn't in love with the area because, like I said, there was so much bait fish. Trying to stay on top of a fish was virtually impossible. But it really pushed that bait fish in the calmest section of this cove that I was in. It was the best spot to be in. It was the best spot for me to fish in, and I'd be doggone if I don't get back there and it's loaded with bait fish. And I'm like, man, I know the fish here. I can see a few, but trying to figure out how to put a bait through,
Yeah.
six
You
Brazilians,
ever watch them load up on them bait fish? Like when one comes
man,
by, right? They're just blowing them up. I've
man,
chased some
it's
like that. Hey, at least you know when you get a bait in front of one of them, though, they're gonna eat it.
yeah. And you think, man, why would this fish ever hit anything uh,
Exactly.
except the shad when there's literally thousands around them? And
Yeah. I think it's opportunity.
uh, I think it's just something different. It's kind of like, if you're eating a hamburger every single night and somebody hands you a piece of
Hmm.
fish, you're gonna say, "Man, give me that fish. I've had hamburgers, for the last 7 days straight.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take that little piece of fish instead." At least that's
Yeah.
my redneck way of thinking.
Yeah. I feel like they when they want to eat, they'll go up, feed, get excited, chase some around. But if you dangle a bait right in front of them, it's just too easy. They gotta, if it's gonna be like wounded and stupid right in front of their nose, they might as well just eat it. Too dang easy. Yeah, I got another one for you, Brad. Why do they, when they hit those shad, they break the sound barrier and it is a blur when they blow on a shad, but when they hit your bait, it's just a little bitty boom and they hit it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a different little jolt at it.
Right?
I don't
I was,
understand that. That's when they chase a shad and they double up on a shad, they turn into the fastest little reacting fish you ever seen. But when
mhm.
they're on a bait, it's all a lot slower pace. It's just weird to me why they change that all up.
Now think about some of these guys are really capitalizing on the post bone bite. Tim, Mr. Curley, he said he was on Eagle Lake starting to pull long line jigs. I know those we was talking about pulling in 12 foot of water, and he's kind of catching those fish as they're coming back from their spawning areas. So the post spawn bait's going to come into effect for some guys as well here shortly. Got Joshua. He's asking this great question. He said, "How do you decide what profile bait to use when first getting out on water?"
It's a good question too.
Daggum good one. For me, it kind of depends on the time of year. And springtime, I like starting out with the biggest bait possible, just for the simple fact in my mind is they can spot it a little bit quicker, and then whenever they hit it, they're going to hit it a little bit harder, and you're going to feel that thump that everybody's familiarized with when it comes to crappie fishing. But I'm gonna start with the biggest profile that I can, and then as I see these fish starting to, and that's the great thing about live sonar is you can see how they're reacting to these baits. But if I'm seeing these fish and they're noticing them, but they're kind of turning them down, I'm gonna start downsizing my bait some. But especially in the spring, especially in the fall slash winter time, I'm gonna start out with the biggest bait I can, and then keep downsizing it out. And the two baits that I'm really referring to, this is the
Oh,
2.25
slab hunter.
live minnow and the slab hunter. This is just, man, a dynamic bait, especially in the
It's just like
springtime.
what you're seeing on the screen by the thousands.
Yeah, exactly. This is the old horsefly, the orange and chartreuse one. But then, you think of another really good bait for this time of year. It would be the mayfly, uh, let me see. I got the old. This is a minnow minder here, but this is a. I think they're 2¼ inch too, but big profile bait. They're not really responding well to that. I'm gonna drop down the size. I still like to use as big as profile bait as possible. So you might go down to the, 2 inch baby shad. They're still not really attacking those as well as you really hope them to be. Go down to your live roamer. This bait here can be definitely hooked up and utilized in that flat profile or the minnow profile. So it's going to give you two different profiles in one bait when it comes to the live roamer. But keep downsizing. The worst part about small baits for me is um, the bite is typically softer, and it's just going to be really subtle whenever, even if you get to feel the bite. You know, uh, you go down as light as the itty bit mayflies, you're probably not going to feel that dump like you're accustomed and you're thinking about when it comes to crappie fishing. Sometimes you're just going to see that fish go up and just sit there and hold it in its mouth, or
Oh
just a
yeah,
light little tick. So always start
I've
big
seen
and work your
lots of
way.
that.
Let's see, Mr. Steven Sullivan, the Dr. Crappie perspective. I like it. He said,
I like it.
females are 90% done at Grenada, 75% done at Enid, and 50% done at Sardis. Has a lot to do
That's
with water
some,
depth differences and temperatures between the lakes. What was your water temperature today, Dustin? You say 56, was that right?
yeah, 58 around certain areas. Yeah, yeah, and they're in the back coves. You're getting 60, 61 if you really get in the right ones. But
For
man,
me, 66, 67 degrees has been the water temperature the last 2 days.
oh man, it's on
We had a
fire.
little cold front today. We had the bluebird skies, and it was real windy, so it was a little bit tougher bite compared to yesterday. But
What was your
uh,
bait of choice today?
the itty
Horse
bit
fly.
slab hunter.
Oh,
No,
okay.
and, I really didn't have a strong color preference today. I'm gonna say bluegill fire was really up there in the top, but
Oh
I
yeah.
caught them from the monkey milks to mud daubers and I was really searching for a really key color, and I never did say, "All right, this is definitely it," because it was a lot of fish that turned down the bait today compared to yesterday. But so I don't know if I had a really key
Yeah.
color going on today, and I might just missed it, and that's very possible. But I'm gonna say profile was the itty bit series. Mr. Hancock, he said on Fort find spawners in 25 to 40 foot of deep timber setting, 8 to 15 foot
Oh my
deep with a
god.
few post spawn mixed in. That big slab hunter, like I just showed you guys. And this is that color. So if you're over there on Lake Fork, you know what to go get.
Yeah, I
And
wonder how the Lake Fork's doing. I heard it's been pretty tough this year. Is it starting to pick up, Jerry? Catching them good? I'm curious.
Crappie Rocker, he said Enid is 64 degrees. So a little cold front up north and knocked it down. Sounds like a little bit further down than it did down here for us. But you know, I think these fish will bounce back. I don't think they're going anywhere. I think that the spawn's going to continue as it is. The bite, like I said, was a little bit more finicky today. We had to downsize and move a lot and put it in a lot of fish's face to actually, have a really good day. You just had to put it in a lot of fish's face on these tougher conditions too. And you're talking about the basics of crappie fishing, and we actually did a podcast that'll be out tomorrow about it. But I think about basics of crappie fishing, and it goes back to this thing right here, and that's a bobber and
Oh
subtle,
yeah.
slow bites. Dustin, I know his
I've
heart.
got
You can
a
see it
lot of
on him.
rods on. Yeah.
He loves bobber fishing, and
Oh yeah.
just kind of go through your setup when you talk about. I don't do a
Yeah.
lot. I'm really
And
wanting to do it, and
I should just go down there to the boat and grab me a bobber setup, but I've got Right now, I'm fishing the shallow, like the spawn of bobber fishing. I fished two extreme opposites, but the shallow fishing, I just use those rubber bobber stops, and I'm going about a foot and half to 2 foot deep. And any lay down or anything off of the bank, I'm throwing that out there. I've got a live roamer with the double silver rainbow right now because it's muddy water, and then I just, of course, the line will go through the bobber, and that bobber stop stops it, and that's how your depth of your bait. And that's my favorite spawn technique to catch them on. And now that we have those brush off jigs, it's even better because you can throw it in the wooliest stuff during the spawn and not get hung up. So that also helps a lot with the spawn. And I'm kind of learning that program too. But
Mhm.
you can throw in the rocks and everything with that brush off, and it's pretty handy with the spawning fish. Um, and then I go in the summer, like the mid to late summer, when I get really big schools of fish around structure, and people just don't have when the fish are biting real soft, and the bobber tells you more than you can feel sometimes. I'll line everybody up on a slip bobber, and I use the string bobber stops then because it's a lot smoother to cast, and it'll work down your line a lot better, all your eyelets. But the reason I do that is because it's going way deeper. Usually that's like a 15-foot bobber stop there. So it's a 15-foot deep, and I'm using clear light line to run through it. But I'm using I want to say it's uh, gosh, their size of bobbers, and that's where it kind of gets tricky.
Yeah.
And I have certain sizes for the certain jigs, but I wouldn't want to tell you right now because I'd be lying. But like for a 16th ounce jig, I'm using this certain bobber, and for a 32nd, I'm using this certain bobber, and they have all the sizes. And
Yep.
yeah, a Thiel bobber is my lifeline. That's what I love to use.
Well, on
I'll
the
be using
crappie
it a
corks
lot.
itself, they say on the package and also on the side of the cork, I don't know if I can get this one to spin around. I probably have one out, but they actually say the size of jig head that you actually need to use. Like this bobber here is
Okay,
made for a 1/8, and then
perfect.
personally, I use a 1/16 a lot whenever I get to use a cord. But
Yeah,
you
same.
match it up with the size of the bobber, and goes back to where I wanted to go with this whole scenario. A lot of times when guys are starting out crappie fishing, they want to use these heavy sinkers, and you know, are oversized bobbers, and so you want to kind of match up what you're doing. Say using the right bobber size with the right jig head. You know, this is a bobber made for a 1/8. So if I put a 1/16 on there, it's going to make this bobber sit higher up. It's not going to lay in that water line like it's designed to do,
Hmm.
and it's just not going to perform to its fullest. So match up
Hmm.
the cork that you're using with the jig head, and it's very easy to do with these crappie corks made by Thiel.
Yeah,
It takes
and it makes
the
it a
guess.
lot. Yeah, exactly. It makes them bobbers a lot more tedious on a bite. You can see the softest bites. I can stand on that boat, and one of my favorite things to do is to tell them, "Really, and you got one?" And they're like, "What? The bobber's
What?
not moving." But it did. It does. It does. It does. When you have that line that you just showed, Brad, if that bobber goes down the slightest under that line,
Yep.
you have a fish just holding it in its mouth, and that's some of my favorite stuff to do. Um, yeah, I love me some bobber fishing.
Yeah, and well, I want to bring this up too, but all right, you've got this bobber and you've cast it out to 30 foot and you're right over this perfect brush pile and you see your cork go down. How do you set the hook?
Ooh, see, that's another good one. I'm reeling all the slack out first. I'm not going to yank without the slack not reeled out, and then it's going to be it's going to be a lot harder than I normally probably should, but it's just more of a pressure set than it is. It's almost like you reel really fast more than I like to just jerk it really hard. If that makes sense.
And when I say that, I know some people fishing the other day, and it was almost like they were trying to hook a gar or some hard fish
Yeah,
mouth because I'd see them set the hook and they do
yeah,
this
that's
number.
right. Yeah,
You see
watch
them
your
jerking
eyeballs. Yeah.
it, and I'm like,
Hmm.
it'll be a miracle if they ever catch a fish in. Just because once you set the hook, kind of like long lining or spider rigging,
Yeah,
live scoping, anything when it comes to crappie fishing, once you set the hook, you want to have that constant
keep it
pressure on that
going.
line.
Yeah. Hmm.
If you ever drop it back and forth,
Uh,
that's when you
uh,
lose a lot of fish. So you
you
see
ever?
that go down, try to have that slack out and do a consistent, steady
Yeah.
uh, pressure on that
Cool.
fish.
Yeah.
If you give them the slightest bit of slack, that's when the
Right. It's
crappie
gone.
90% off there.
Brad, how many people do you have pull on that long rod, and when they go to pull up, it just starts bouncing? You ever see that?
Oh yeah. The
Oh
do
man,
do
it
do.
makes oh yeah, it makes you want to cry. You're just holding your breath while you got the net there. You're like, please keep pulling, 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 because it's just going doing, doing.
Mhm.
That'll kill you. I had a couple of that today, and it made me heartbroken watching them pull them up and lose them.
Got James. He's asking a good question about the bobbers. He said, Dustin, when you cast a bobber and jig to shallow cover, how do you work it, and when do you reel it
Oh
and
yeah.
cast it over again?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And honestly, it's all about where they're spawning. If I'm in clear water, I'm probably going to be casting a swimming minnow and tight lining. So this is going off of just it's muddy water and your fish are up shallow spawning. And I'm going to give it till probably 15 to 20 foot off the bank because I'm not going to sit there and pull it out into 10 foot of water that I know they're not at. I'm trying to catch those fish in like 2 to 3 foot of water tops. So once I get past that strike zone, I'm just reeling it in and recasting. Um, and what was the next question? What am I reeling
So
it in? And then,
when you cast it again, how long and how do you work it?
oh, how do
How do
I
you
work
work
it?
it when you reel?
Yeah, and that also changes sometimes. Just depends on, I guess, what I find's working that day. Just like we're out there sniping Roman fish, and today was you don't want to move your bait a lick. You can't move it up or down at all. Just hold it dead still. They're going to come up and blow it up. But tomorrow they may want it to be raised from them, or they may want you to go down a little bit just to be weird. So it just depends on what they're doing. But I like to drag it back nice and easy and then stop, because when you're dragging it back you're bringing that bait up and then you're lowering it back down, just covering a little bit of water, or just twitch it a little bit and let it stop, let that line feed out, and then twitch it a little bit, and just trying to picture what's going on underwater. That's what I would always say, is see if you were the fish
Mhm.
under there, what would look the best to you.
Mhm.
But if you just slow reel it back, you're going to pull that bobber stop up out of your bobber, and your bait's going to stay way shallower than you want. So you want to reel a little bit and then stop, so your line will go back down and your bait will get back down into the strike zone.
Yeah, I think you nailed it when you said, "Hey, one day this might actually work
Yeah,
this
I'm
way.
always.
The other day it may
Mhm.
be totally useless."
Yeah,
And I think you say, "All right, this is I see the fish there. I know fish are sitting on this brush pile or stump that I'm casting to.
yeah,
Cast it out there, pop it 2 or 3 times. Bring it past whatever you think the fish are located. If that don't work next time, just slowly, steady
yeah,
retrieve it over 'em, yeah, or
yeah,
just let it
yeah.
sit there and marinate
Mhm.
to say. So I think it's all about
Yeah, you'd be in the
eliminating
summer.
what's not
Yeah.
working.
Exactly. Yeah, you'd be surprised in the summer, like when those fish are lethargic. You really don't want to move anything, because that bobber is making
Yeah.
that bait do a lot more than you think it is. And if that wind is blowing at all, or you got any kind of breeze or current, that bait is doing all kinds of stuff under there that you wouldn't imagine. So I love, just the bobber does stuff that you can't do with a fishing pole that gets a lot of bites sometimes.
This question is when the crappie move off the rocks, where should a bank fisherman look next? And it kind of goes back. I don't think all them fish are on those rocks all the time anyway. I think I'm gonna move a little bit further out. So if you're catching them on the bank one day and you feel like, all right, they've been there for however long, just move, especially if you're using slip bobbers, cast a little bit further deeper. Keep casting a little bit further deeper out. Uh, and if available, if you've got an area that you can fish that has deeper water next to it, somewhere that transitions from that shallow flats or those rocks that you're referring to back to a creek channel that you can actually still fish from the bank, but start moving back to that deeper sections that you caught them before back. I think of summer and wintertime kind of in the same scenario when I say this. If you've got an area that you caught them in the wintertime, more than likely you're going to catch them again in that same area in the summertime. So
Mm,
start referring to where you caught them back before you were catching them on the bank, going
that's
back to those
perfect.
same areas as they get off of that bedding, spawning area.
Mhm. I agree with that for sure.
All right. Let's see. Joshua, he says, full of questions today, but when casting to crappie and
That's good.
working bait back to you, Do you jig the bait back, or do you like a slow, steady reel back?
Uh, when you're tight lining, so what he's talking about?
That's what I'm thinking. He's casting
Yeah,
out to him,
yeah.
and
If I'm tight lining them in clear water for sure, I do just a steady retrieve. I don't really pop it much because we've learned that kind of doesn't the fish don't do what we think it does when I would do that little pop. So I just slow retrieve it back. I do the best when they're spawning for sure, just a slow retrieve back. It's just the speed is everything on the jig head
Mhm.
size. If you're throwing like a 16th to the bank and you're waiting too long, you're going under them and all that. You can downsize your jig head and do a slower presentation, or you can do like if you do a weedless jig head and you cast it to the bank, then you don't have to worry about dragging the bottom, and you can really get into them fish and reel a little bit slower, just find the speed they're wanting. But man, in the spawn, they're usually so aggressive. You can throw a 16th ounce jig head with a swimming minnow on it or any type of grub that we have, and just start reeling it back at decent speed. You almost want there's a happy
Mhm.
medium, but when you catch a few on it, you'll get the speed down, and you can go too fast. So you can't go too slow unless you're dragging bottom. So just keep it off the bottom and reel her
Yeah.
back, but don't just burn it back like you're white bass fishing or nothing. There's
Uh,
nothing better than
Carl,
that stuff. Tight
Mr.
lining,
Carl
oh my
Dearman, he
goodness.
says Dustin, he went last weekend and caught 7 males, and they were in 10 foot of water and 12 foot of water. And when they hit it hard. So I
Oh yeah,
guess he's
Carl, they're
be in there.
moving up. Then yeah, he said he caught all males. So and he's in a cove, I believe. He's up in a cove and he's in some clear water. So they're starting to move up. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're spawning at that 10 foot, Carl. Looked like they were
Oh yeah.
starting to color up. So I would imagine them things are starting to spawn somewhere where you found them there. But
WP, when the brim are spawning, is it safe to say the crappie spawn is completely over? I would say no. Um,
oh
that is, I wouldn't assume that by no means,
well, you
because
know
for
what?
us,
You
I
catch
think of
perch a
brim
lot when
fish
you're
in May, and I know
yeah.
some fish. The crappie are going to start generally before brim, and then you get towards the end of the crappie spawn. They'll
They're
still be
mixing it.
spawning in
Yeah,
the same time frame to say, but you'll still catch crappie spawning in most lakes in our area to some degree, even in May. So I wouldn't
for
say
sure.
all the way to that.
Agreed.
John Breland, he said he's hoping that river slows down a little bit and the river gets low. He can go fishing again this weekend. Man, John, we hope you can, brother.
And we've
Uh,
got a ton of rain on the radar coming as well here. I'm praying it.
ooh,
Yeah, I know. I don't know what it is. It going to help the spawn, Brad? If this water all floods, I'm sure it would.
no, no, I don't.
No,
I think it'll delay it. I think it'll make it spread out further.
oh, fantastic.
Huh?
Welcome to Life of the Guide.
Mm, that's right. I took some great people today fishing from Oklahoma, Uh, and I think about every afternoon when I'm doing a post with people on my guide service, and I thought about it today, and I think, slabs and smiles. That's what gets me going every day, and getting to take people out, and at the end of the day, everybody's
SS.
smiling, holding some fish, and it's nothing but about the slabs and the smiles, and
I
that's
like it.
if you're just now getting into the great sport of crappie fishing, get ready for a lot of smiling and a lot of slabs.
And a limited day will keep the doctor away.
There you go. St. John, who said mid Mississippi, been catching them shallow for a month, but seems to have slowed
Excellent.
down in the last week. Is it over now? Water temperature got around 70, 72 degrees in 3 foot of water. It's probably not completely over with. I think that you're getting towards, and I don't know what body of water you're referring to, but I'm thinking it's going to be those key pieces of structure that they'll still be spawning to. Some of the general areas that's going to slow down, but if you can find a breeder stump, and if you heard me ever talk anything at this time of year, you're going to hear me talk about breeder stumps. I think it's going to be the best pieces of structure that they like to spawn on are going to become really key on the later part. It'll be more fish on them in the later part of the spawn. The beginning of the spawn, the fish are really spread out, but as you get towards the tail end, key spawning areas are going to really jump up and do even better. What I see
That's
anyway.
good. Good little tidbit there.
Mr. Crawl, he's got a question for you, Dustin. He said,
Good.
why do they stack up on when it's spawn season? Why do they stack up?
Hmm.
I don't know if they stack up. I think it may be just like those key pieces of area. But what do you think there?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's places you can just demolish them in the spawn. I mean, I've seen it happen where he's talking about they stack up like you got a little pocket and you can catch every cast like they're spawning white bass. It's got to be just a super hot spot for bedding. That's all I can guess. There's like a place there that they're nesting, and they just rick in their shoulder to shoulder and just take care of everybody's babies and just rock and roll. So I guess it's the same reason white bass will stack up too. But it's a good question. I mean, I'm far from a biologist though, so who knows? It's got to be the same reason deer stack up in certain areas and all kinds of
Key pieces. Yep.
Yeah, it's
Very
got to
key
be
area.
just really key areas. Yeah, because you can fish a whole sliver of a place a mile long, and there's just a 10-foot pocket that has 90% of the fish. So, what is that saying? 90% of the fish are in 10% of the water, something like that.
Hey,
Hey,
right now,
I'm going
guys,
with
we're at
it.
159 likes, thumbs up between the two
Oh, we better get
platforms.
that up. We better get that
If
up.
you haven't done that for me, please go ahead and hit that thumbs up for me, guys. It helps us out more you can ever imagine. But if you're looking for some of these Bobby Garland baits, steel bobbers, look at lurenet.com and use your discount code Crappie Connection 15. Get you 15% off all these products that we're talking about, made by Bobby Garland and Theo, and dozens of other stuff as well. But definitely check those out. Big thank you to Bobby Garland Baits for putting on today's bite. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, hit that for us as well, especially all you guys on YouTube. YouTube's blowing up tonight. I really appreciate you guys. But we've got another podcast coming out tomorrow, and we're going to really dive in and talk about bobbers and got some real guests on there that really dissect bobber fishing even to another level. But bobber fishing is hot this time of year. Post-spawn is going to be even good, even into the summertime. I think of bobber season, I think of spawning and summertime, for me at least. I know some guys use them year-round, but
Oh yeah,
I think bobber season's coming into play.
breeder stops.
Breeder stones. Jason, he's asking, fishing a new lake, where would be the first place on the water to look for crappie?
Right now, it's all time of year thing. I guess right
Yeah,
now
I'm gonna
I'd be
look
looking
on
off.
the new piece of lake on a new body of water. I'm gonna look for ledges. I'm gonna look for an area that has the deep river channel, creek channels where it drops off. I think anytime you can find a ledge and it has shallow water up top and the deeper water and cover on that ledge, you've got the ingredients to hold crappie. So that's gonna be the very first place that I check really every single day. I'm looking for ledges with structure. To me, ledges seem like highways for these crappie that they
I got
follow
some
and travel up
fellas
on,
getting ready to roll up and talk to me here
structure
at
they
this boat
stick
ramp.
on. Do I now?
I got some fellas rolling up to talk on the boat ramp, but uh, just in case I got to go, I don't think they know that I'm here on this live at all. So,
To hear what their fishing
well,
report is. I'm
let's get a
pretty
fishing
curious.
report. You bet. How's it going, buddy? No good.
No good.
Hey, so I'm live on this Facebook deal, and we're talking crappie fishing. We do it for Bobby Garland Baits,
Yes, sir.
and we want your fishing report for the day.
My,
First of all, what's your name?
I can't give my name.
Okay, well, I like it. He's not a Facebook name giver, but let's hear you.
Steve Cornell.
Steve Cornell, there we go. And
Heck
what's your
yeah.
fishing report?
My fishing report is that if you can find them, there's a few schooled,
Okay.
but not very many in one school.
Okay.
That was and they were probably in about. I had the boat sitting in 16 foot of water, thrown
Wow.
to the bank, and I was catching them probably about halfway to the boat
Okay, gotcha. Man, so
over
you
some
caught a few
brush.
then? Okay. Man, they're
Did he
not
have
on
a
the
hot
banks yet
color,
then, huh?
Dustin?
Do what?
Did he have a hot color that he was
Yeah, was a
using?
color, did a color do better on you than another?
If I told you, I'd have to shoot
Yeah,
you.
that's right.
Oh Lord,
Hey, he's a normal crappie fisherman. He ain't giving the tidbits.
definitely. He gave out a good bit, so we definitely
Yeah,
appreciate
for
that.
sure.
That's
Yeah.
listen. That's more than what this old boy gave me.
Oh,
All he
I
said
don't know that.
was throw something white and with or
Chartreuse.
chartreuse.
What chartreuse?
I tried white body chartreuse on the tail, and I never caught a thing.
Well,
So I
Oh,
went back to my old reliable.
and what was
black
it?
and
I
chartreuse.
can't tell you.
Well, I told
Black
you
and
my secret. Is it black chartreuse?
No,
All
chartreuse.
chartreuse.
No.
no.
Hmm.
It's red. It's red body, black back, chartreuse tail.
Okay. Boy, it sounds.
Hmm.
Oh, he's got one in the top pocket here, folks. That's what
That's
I'm
a crappie
talking about.
fisherman right there.
Oh, you might be out of them, huh? Nope. Ooh, I like it. Okay, it's got a little tail on there, and it's got a little swimmer, chartreuse. I like it.
And the paddle tail too.
Yeah, you like the little swimmer there. I got you. Well, good.
So,
I already put all my fish cleaning stuff up, so I can't clean them for you.
oh, you wouldn't have anyway. All right,
That's
I was
awesome.
gonna talk to you for.
Oh yeah, you're good. All right, hang on just a second. We're almost done.
All right.
That's awesome there. I
Oh
think that's the
yeah.
first time it's ever happened. I like it.
Yeah, yeah, this is boat ramp talk here.
I
He's gonna
like
lie to
that.
me and I'm gonna lie to him. So I guess
There,
we'll
there
hop on you next Tuesday and see you guys again. Hopefully I'll be
yeah.
home.
Yeah, you need to be home. I mean, I'm sure Bo's looking for you right now.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. No, I still have to load my boat up. That's how behind I am.
You need some help.
No,
I
I'm
can
good.
back it in.
I'm good, brother. I appreciate you.
Okay.
He's
Well, Brad,
still.
I'm gonna roll off here, brother. I'm gonna see you
All right,
guys next
guys.
Tuesday.
It's about 8
Don't catch
o'clock, so
all of them without me.
we'll see you guys next week, 8 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. Today's bite sponsored by Bobby Garland Baits. Till next week, Brad Chappell here. We're going to holla.
Holla.